What is going on? We are back here today, ladies and gentlemen, but this time with a discussion video, competitive analysis. We're going to be talking about the Sword and Shield OU viability rankings, and basically I'm going to be giving my own opinion on where these mons are ranked here in the OU tier. I'm going to be showing my own teams using these mons, what I think is right, what I think is wrong, if they have some Pokemon they haven't even ranked yet, what I think those should be ranked. And so basically this is my take on the OU tier. I did this for Gen 7, Sun and Moon OU, and it was one of my best performing video, so I figured I'd do it for Gen 8 as well, give my opinions, all that stuff, show my teams. So yeah, I mean, let's hop right into it. But before that, as you guys know now, the agency embroidered merchandise is now live and will be live for the next 2 weeks, so go check that out. Premium canvas hoodies and crew neck sweatshirts, different colors. We got orange, blue, and green with an embroidered design this time. So this is a limited edition drop, only going to be available for the next 2 weeks until January 30th. Like I said, we got hoodies, all different types of colors, sweatshirts as well. So go check that out for sure if you're interested. Like I said, that'll be available for the next 2 weeks. So like I said, don't sleep on that. Link in the description. Let's hop right into it. So let's just, start off with S rank. So we got Clefable and Corviknight in S rank. Now this is pretty interesting to me that Clefable stayed as good as it used to be, because in Gen 7 Clefable was good, but it wasn't like in its own rank. It wasn't an S rank Pokemon. It was maybe like an A minus rank Pokemon. But in Gen 8 right now in the current metagame, it's basically at the very top, considered to be the best Pokemon alongside Corviknight. In fact, I feel like every single team right now has either Clefable or Sylveon, some fairy resist. I mean, some fairy Pokemon, which, acts as a must necessary resist to dragons, fighting type moves, and stuff like that. But Clefable's at the top. So the main set people run in Clefable is either Life Orb, which is this, Moonblast, Moonlight, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt. Offensive set, mine's Max Speed Timid, but a lot of the time people opt to run like modest max speed or not even max speed because they want to keep a little bit of bulk. Clefable without any defense investment is actually quite frail. But then the other set obviously is Wish Protect. This is a set that's been used quite a bit. Wish Protect, Thunder Wave, Mixed Defense. Yeah, Clefable does not have access to Soft Boiled until Pokemon Home comes out, but when that comes out in the next month or so, Soft Boiled Clefable will be back, so that thing will be even better at that point. But yeah, for the most part, these are the sets Clefable runs, either that Wish Protect, Thunder Wave, or Life Orb. And I mean, it's good in general. Clefable does what it always did. Magic Guard allows it to switch into stuff like Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, all that good stuff. Life Orb is a very potent breaker in general. Stuff like Rotom Heat is one of the only things that can really switch into it. Other stuff gets hit pretty hard by Moonblast, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower. That coverage in general is just, it's good breaking power. Stuff like Toxapex plus Ferrothorn, those two can't wall Clefable that's going for Thunderbolts and Flamethrowers, you know what I mean? So in general, that thing is really good. Its defense and Spadef are decent enough when you invest them, because it's only really weak to steel type moves and poison type moves. Stuff like Dragapult cannot break through it in one hit with Phantom Force or Shadow Ball, so obviously that's, the type of bonus it has. Clef basically does the same thing it did every generation since it became as good as it was in Gen 6 when it got introduced to fairy typing. But I understand why it's at the top of the rankings. It's very obvious, especially in a metagame which are kind of dominated by dragons right now. We have a high usage of Dragapult, Hydreigon, even Komodo. And while these Pokemon do have tools that can help them damage Clefable, they struggle to one-hit KO Clefable with any one move. So Clef's pretty good in that sense at taking them on. But next we got Corviknight. Corviknight, I can understand why that thing's in S rank too. I do think people kind of overrate this thing, but it is a great form of hazard removal. The set I've been running the most is this one right here, Roost, U-Turn, Ironhead, Defog, Max Spadef. This set has given me the most success. Honestly, this thing is really good at keeping rocks off the field. Thanks to pressure, it's able to pressure, no pun intended, but thanks to pressure, it's able to really go toe-to-toe with common Stealth Rockers like Hippowdon and Seismitoad. Even if something like Seismitoad is faster and Scald burns you, you're still able to beat it 1v1 and make sure rocks don't stay up, because when they Stealth Rock against you, because of pressure, they're losing double PP, while your Defog is able to outstall the Stealth Rock spam. So yeah, that's a reason that Corviknight's just really good in general. I've used a couple of sets. I think one of them I used Sub Bulk Up. This one's Sub Bulk Up, yep. Sub Bulk Up Roost. Even without the possibility of Dynamax, this set is still quite good. It's very, very bulky. Flying Steel type is just good in general. This one has Mirror Armor instead of Pressure, but yeah, I've also seen people use Bulk Up, Brave Bird, Taunt Roost, which is, definitely a threat as well. This one just has Sub to protect against Scald and stuff like that, but Corviknight's not that weak, man. 87 base attack isn't bad at all. And Brave Bird is quite a strong base power move, so it's pretty easy to chip a lot of things like Rotom Heat that would normally be able to, take you on now and then. But Sub, Bulk Up, and both Defog are very good threats in the metagame right now. Honestly, like, it's very hard to deal with. For the most part, people are spamming Rotom Heat as their way of dealing with Corviknight, and it even deals with Clefable in one. Rotom Heat is like the primary option, I feel like, when I see people try to find one Pokemon that can take both of those guys on. But even that thing, now that Pain Split doesn't exist in Gen 8, I'm pretty sure. For now, it doesn't exist. So obviously this thing doesn't have the best of recoveries. So even though Rotom Heat's able to kind of check those things, as in it checks their stab move, they're still able to get through that thing pretty easily. But I definitely understand why these two are in S rank. Honestly, I don't know if I would drop Corviknight down to A+. I feel like its default set is really, really good, and maybe it's just an S rank because of how it matches up versus stuff like Hippo and Seismitoad. But I understand Clef being number 1, so for the most part, I actually agree with the S rank. Okay, let's look at A+ rank. So Aegislash at A+. Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Aegislash is one of the biggest threats in the metagame by far. I've used so many sets. This one, look at this. This is plus speed, Life Orb, Steel Beam, Flash Cannon, Shadow Ball, Shadow Sneak. Those of you guys who have been watching my videos since the beginning of Sword and Shield, you know that I've run Close Combat Banded quite a bit. This one was an amazing set. Autotomize, Swords Dance, Shadow Claw, Close Combat. That was the Double Dance set. I used Banded quite a bit. Is this one Banded? Nope, this one's Substitute, King Shield. There's so many options you can run with this guy, which is definitely, this one's Banded for sure. This is a set I was running quite a bit. Banded. You can also run Specs. Just by that one, you could spam Spec Shadow Ball, which hits stuff like Toxapex plus Ferrothorn harder. This one's a little tougher because you can't really hit Toxapex with any move hard enough, except for Head Smash, and you take obviously so much recoil. But yeah, Aegislash has so many offensive threats. I mean, offensive sets: Specs, Choice Band, Life Orb, Air Balloon, Substitute Leftovers. In general, I mean, you always know it's going to be going for like Ghost type moves, Steel type moves, but even then, it's just a really big nuisance to deal with. One of the best offensive threats. I feel like you're never in a bad situation using Aegislash. You'll never bring this thing and be like, oh snap, Aegislash is useless here. It should never be useless. And so I think it definitely deserves being at the top of the A+. I think it's better than all of these Pokemon as well. Next we have Dragapult. Dragapult has obscene usage in the last month. I think its usage is nearly 40% in OU, which is way too high. I understand that ghost types are very good. They're at the top of the metagame right now. They're the best they've ever been, but it does not make sense for a Pokemon like Dragapult to be 40% usage. That's honestly just overwhelming. I mean, it's a good Pokemon, but it can't kill everything or anything like that. 100 special attack is pretty bad. 120 base attack is decent, but I mean, Pokemon resist its dragon, dragon ghost typing. But yeah, that thing being that highly used is kind of crazy to me. For the most part, I've been running Specs, but I've also ran this one's Specs, as you can see, but I've ran Scarf a few times. I've ran Sub DD. This one's Sub DD with Life Orb. Crazy tech. I used Scarf a couple times as well, I think. What is this one's Scarf. Yep, Scarf with Hex. So I've used a couple of different sets. Dragapult's good, man. You can run basically whatever set on it, and it's always going to put in some work for your team. You just got to play a little smart. It's not as frail as people think either. I mean, I know 75-75 is pretty bad, but you should be able to take at least one neutral hit most games, which, is pretty underrated. You just got to be smart. It definitely belongs to be an A+ rank, but like it's not as good. I don't think every team should just have it. I know that's rich coming from me because I know a lot of my teams have it, but a lot of the times I feel like it's just a glue slot for the ladder. I feel like if I was playing in SPL, I wouldn't bring Dragapult that much. Next we have Hydreigon. Now Hydreigon I think is extremely good, at times even better than Dragapult. While Dragapult can't set up and be as threatening as Hydreigon, obviously Dragapult has access to Dragon Dance, but its Dragon Dance set is nowhere near as scary as Hydreigon going for Nasty Plot. So Hydreigon, I've ran Scarf and Nasty Plot, the only two sets I've run. I think Scarf is decent, but Nasty Plot is obviously like 10 times scarier. This is the set we're talking about. Sub, Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon. A lot of my teammates in SPL were running Nasty Plot, Draco Meteor, Flamethrower, Flash Cannon, and +2 Life Orb Draco Meteor is basically able to KO everything. There's no such thing as specially defensive Toxapex living that. That's just going to KO everything in your sight. Flamethrower to kill Corviknight and Ferrothorn, and then Flash Cannon for Clefable, Hatterene, all that stuff. So in general, it's obviously a very big threat. I've seen a lot of different types of Hydreigons. I think Scarf is definitely the easiest to deal with, and definitely not even that good. Nasty Plot is a real problem. So Nasty Plot 3 attack Life Orb is very threatening. Sub Nasty Plot, of course, is a threat. I've seen a lot of people running Nasty Plot plus Thunder Wave, which is pretty crazy. You paralyze stuff like Clefable, Sylveon, Corviknight, all that stuff on the Switch, and then next time, you know, you just hacks through them. And then when Pokemon Home is released and we're able to get our old moves, I think Roost Nasty Plot Hydreigon will be a huge threat when you're able to run Roost on this. I haven't really made any teams with that yet, but I'm assuming that Roost Nasty Plot will be one of the biggest threats by far. But yeah, Hydreigon's really good. Nasty Plot really put this thing in like a whole new tier. Of course, when all the old Pokemon come back and stuff like Toxic is back in a lot of move pools and stuff, Hydreigon will probably be a little bit easier to deal with. But in general, Nasty Plot is one of the biggest threats, and Roost will only make this thing better in my eyes. Rotom Heat. So this thing, oh my god, everybody loves this mon now. It's crazy how this mon is so hot now. Ha, no pun intended. Rotom Heat is hot. Yes, this mon is on every person's team. Set I've been running is Heavy Duty Boots, Nasty Plot, HP invested. This set is good at dealing with Corviknight and Clefable, which are on every motherfucker's team. The problem is that Rotom Heat actually loses to Seismitoad, which is pretty annoying. But you can Will-O-Wisp to chip that thing. In general, Rotom Heat's just nice. Heavy Duty Boost is a godsend because you're able to switch into a lot of stuff. And yeah, basically this thing is just getting a lot of usage because it's able to switch into the fat mons, Ferrothorn, Corviknight, Clefable. It's able to Mandibles, all that stuff. It's able to come in on them pretty easily. And then it's also easy to pair with stuff like Clefable and Sylveon, so you can Wish Pass to it. I ran Scarf with Trick and Will-O-Wisp a few times as well, just a little support stuff. It was a good mon back in the Darmanitan metagame, and it's a good mon in the post-Darmanitan metagame as well. But yep, Nasty Plot, Heavy Duty Boots is a set I've primarily run. It makes sense why this thing is this high up in the usage. I mean, like, I feel like I would never get swept by this. But then again, I run teams with, like, Hello Walls, like Komodo, Hydreigon. But, I don't know. It's a good mon defensively, but A+, I don't know. I feel like Hydreigon's better than all these shits, except for maybe Aegislash. I think Hydreigon and Aegislash are better than Dragapult right now. Not to say that Dragapult's bad, but you feel me. Seismitoad, okay, this is the #1 Stealth Rocker in the tier, so it makes sense why it's A+ rank. I think people overestimate Seismitoad a lot, not to say that it's not a true agency staple, one of the GOATs, an original agency Pokemon, but I do think that people overrate this Pokemon a lot when picking a Stealth Rocker. I think a lot of the time they're like, you know what, I need Stealth Rock, I'm just going to pick Seismitoad, and I understand why that is. Seismitoad is an amazing Stealth Rocker, and it walls a lot of the Pokemon in the metagame today, like Rotom Wash, Rotom Heat, what's it called, Court Change, what's that thing called, Cinderace, you know what I'm saying? It can even switch into stuff like Aegislash, threaten it back with an Earthquake, stuff like that. So I understand why it's used so much. I think that a big thing in the beginning was like, oh shit, it can take on the big threat Dracovish and Rain, but I really have not seen a lot of Rain or Dracovish recently. So I don't know, I feel like that reasoning isn't really big anymore for Seismitoad, but regardless, Seismitoad still gets a ton of usage. It's one of the best rockers. It really only runs that set. I have a team I've been using quite recently with Choice Banded Seismitoad, and I've been having a lot of success with this. Seismitoad does have a pretty underrated attack stat, and Seismitoad is also really good on Rain, man. I feel like people forgot that you can run this thing on Rain. I know, yeah, this is what I was running it on. I think I was running Life Orb, yep, Stealth Rock, Hydro Pump, Earth Power, Focus Blast, obviously to hit Ferrothorn. The second put in the work, man. People be sleeping. You should check out offensive Seismitoad. It's not bad at all. But yeah, I understand why this thing is so like up there in terms of usage. It's able to hit a lot of stuff hard. I think the Rain set and offensive sets in general are very underexplored. But yeah, best rocker in the tier. It's quite obvious. Toxapex does what it always did. This thing is just, look at this team, fat bullshit. Toxic Spike, Scald, Baneful Bunker. This is basically the set that I see the most physically defensive. This thing works as a great Dracovish counter as well. Baneful Bunker lets you poison things that would be hitting you with a contact move. So specifically Dracovish. Even stuff like Dracozolt, if you went for Bolt Beak or whatever, you could Baneful Bunker. Yeah, this is the best set for it to run right now. Toxic Spike, Scald, T-Spikes. How many Toxapex teams do I have? I probably have a few. Yup, Haze. Yeah, but for the most part I've been running Fizz Def. I mean, yeah, Pex just does what it always did, guys, which is sit there. Haze, yeah, not much to say. It's always going to be a top threat because it walls everything, and it walls every choiced Pokemon that isn't like a ground type or electric type. It walls all of them. Okay, now we go to A rank and we see Pokemon like Conkeldurr. Now, I was quite surprised to see Conkeldurr in A rank because I think Conkeldurr has the potential to be like the best Pokemon in the battle, in any battle it's a part of. So Conkeldurr, the #1 set people are running is obviously Flame Orb Guts. This is the set that I've been running the most: Mach Punch, Drain Punch, Close Combat, Earthquake. However, I have recently started using Bulk Up over Close Combat, and Bulk Up Flame Orb is a very, very hard threat to deal with. Close Combat was nice. It was just kind of an overkill option, just to murk anything neutral. It could even 2-KO stuff like Clefable, but I realized over time that Bulk Up was superior because it lets you recover even more with Drain Punch. The added defense boost lets you go toe-to-toe with other conks, and then +1 Flame Orb Mach Punch is very, very strong priority. It's able to KO a lot of stuff. Like Rotom Heat at like 60-70% can just die to +1 Flame Orb Mach Punch. So it's definitely something to think about. But yeah, that's the set I've been using the most recently. Bulk Up over Close Combat, and then Mach Punch, Drain Punch, Earthquake. Earthquake is just your neutral to hit Toxapex, Aegislash, Clefable, Dragapult, etc. And yeah, man, Conk is so strong. At +1, at Guts boosted attack is basically at 624 attack, and you can get +1 off Bulk Up. Its natural bulk is pretty good too. I'm not saying this thing is the bulkiest mon. Stuff like Specs Draco Meteor from Dragapult will obviously want to KO it, but I think it's very, very good. I would honestly consider this mon to be in the A+ rank. I would say it's on par with Aegislash and Hydreigon in terms of how much of a threat it can be. You just gotta play smart with it. But a lot of the time, yeah, these teams are not very prepared to switch into most of its moves, and Conk can run a decent amount of options. It can run Thunder Punch, it can run Facade to break through any pivoting stuff that someone wants to go through, which is pretty nice. And then once Pokemon Home is introduced, it'll get Knockoff back as well, so something to think about. Dugtrio A rank. Oh my god, Dugtrio Outbreak. In the SPL, my teammates, so I had 3 teammates playing Sword and Shield OU, and all 3 of them played against opposing guys who were running Dugtrio plus Mandibuzz plus Clefable. It was disgusting. Dugtrio has been everywhere lately, and obviously it's always going to be everywhere because with Choice Band, this thing is able to trap Clefable, which is one of the biggest nuisances. It's able to trap Toxapex, and basically any grounded mon is at risk of being KO'd by Dugtrio. Even Conkeldurr, you know, that can get trapped if it's at 50%. Weakened Ferrothorn can get trapped, stuff like that. It's just, I mean, it's what this thing has done every single generation. It just traps things all generation. It gets banned. It's been banned from Gen 5, banned from Gen 6, banned from Gen 7. I have no doubt in my mind that this thing will get inevitably banned from Gen 8. Just don't know when. But yeah, Dugtrio is annoying. It does the same thing it always did. For the most part, we've been seeing Choice Band quite a bit. I don't have too many teams with Dugtrio. I mean, I have like Meme Sun teams, but this one's Scarf, which isn't that good. This one's what? Banded? This one's Scarf too. Why are they all Scarf, dude? Scarf's pretty whack set. Is this one? This one's Sash with Stealth Rock Reversal. And the other set is Banded. Banded lets you OHKO Toxapex as well as trap Clefable easily. But yeah, I understand that thing being an A rank. It's a very potent threat. It makes bulky teams very, very hard to deal with because a lot of times bulky teams struggle to deal with opposing Clefable or Toxapex, but you trap those and it's over. Excadrill at A rank. Excadrill in the beginning of this metagame was like A+++ rank. Honestly, you could even put Excadrill in A+. I think people are kind of ignoring how good of a sweeper this thing is. I think just because Corviknight is at S rank does not mean Excadrill is at A rank. I think it should be A+. The only Corviknight that's able to deal with Excadrill is the Bulk Up set or the Body Press set. The U-Turn Ironhead Defog set, which is like the majority, like this type of shit, does not beat Excadrill. Now, Rapid Spin obviously gave this thing +1 speed boost, but that thing coupled with Swords Dance and then Double Stab Ironhead Earthquake turns into a very potent sweeper. So Rapid Spin lets you get the +1 speed. Stuff like Corviknight gets you set up on that stuff. Like obviously Ironhead and Braver don't hit you too hard, and you get +2, +4, and then Ironhead's able to 2-hit KO. And in general, after a +1 speed boost, you're basically able to sweep a lot of teams if you don't run into Ditto or Sash Dugtrio or something like that. I found Excadrill to be one of the best sweepers in the game. It's obviously like the premier hazard removal, and Rapid Spin got buffed so hard with 50 base power plus speed boost. This thing is just a big threat in general. I used Sash quite a bit when I was spamming offense earlier on in the generation, but I also have a couple of teams that just make use of Swords Dance, specifically on sand teams. And even there's a team I had, and it just had leftovers Weatherless Drill because Rapid Spin basically negates the speed issue. But yep, I understand Excadrill being at A rank, but I personally put it in A+ for sure. I think it's up there. Ferrothorn at A rank. Yeah, Ferrothorn does the same thing it always did. I have a few Ferrothorn teams, but I mean, I haven't really used any recently. I mean, it's just Ferrothorn, man. There's not much to say. It's always gonna be at the top for the for the options it gets. Double hazards, Thunder Wave, water resist, whatever. Don't need to talk about it. Gengar. I've been seeing a lot of Specs Gengar. Not so much Nasty Plot. I haven't used Gengar too much. What is this? Specs or Scarf? Scarf, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Gengar's cool. Ghost types in general are cool. Pursuit doesn't exist. It's a good mon. Definitely worth trying out. I haven't used it enough to really talk too much. But yeah, Specs is good. I don't think Nasty Plot's that good. Mandibuzz. I'm a huge Mandibuzz fan. Although I do think it's gotten worse as time has gone on. But in general, Mandibuzz is very good. Heavy Duty Boots is a godsend. This is the set I use the most. Although you can run Foul Play, you can run Taunt, you can run Toxic, whatever the case is. But this is the set I run because I run Removal. This thing is able to destroy Aegislash. It's able to destroy Hydreigon, that Scarf, and even Nasty Plot gets owned because you just U-turn and break the sub. It's able to destroy Dragapult. This thing is really good. It's just really, really good. Yeah. Honestly, you could put this thing in A+ on a given day. Obviously, it loses to Clefable, but other than that, it's a complete hit. And then A-. So Dracovish being an A-, I'm not surprised about. It's an A- basically because if you run into a team that doesn't have Seismitoad, you'll always get some sort of mileage out of it. I do think that it's easier to prep for these days. So yeah, it's good, but I don't know. Only good version's banded. Scarf's useless, I think. Hippowdon. Yeah, I mean, I have a couple Hippowdon teams, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a decent rocker. It's pretty good. It's like physically defensive enough to where you're able to take on annoying stuff like Hawlucha. You know, Whirlwind in general is just nice to just get stuff out of there. Sand Chip as well. Not much to really say about Hippo. It's just your basic mon, man. It's your basic tank, ground type. Komodo A-. So I've toyed around with 2 Komodo sets. The one Komodo I've been using the most recently is just bulk up body press or iron defense body press with stealth rock. This set's pretty decent. It's very, very bulky. You got to make use of this thing's good base 125 defense. But of course, I've also used the offensive set too, which is Clangorous Soul with the Throat Spray. Throat Spray gives you +1 special attack after using a sound move, so that does work for Clangorous Soul, which is a sound move. And then it also works for Clanging Scales, and then you have Flamethrower, Flash Cannon coverage, you know, to hit steel types as well as Clefable. This thing is definitely potent as well, worth using, definitely worth trying out. Komodo, true agency pick. Rotom Mow. The only Rotom Mow I have seen work to perfection is Sub Nasty Plot, Discharge, Leaf Storm. This thing is able to beat quite a few fat teams. If you look at this team on my team, this team fat bullshit I have, this team gets destroyed by Sub Nasty Plot Rotom. Yeah, Sub Nasty Plot Rotom is able to really destroy this team. Ferrothorn can't break the sub with knockoffs, so that thing gets set up on +6. Ditto obviously can't trace Rotom if it gets a sub up. Hippo dies. Toxapex gets set up on easily. Mandibuzz gets set up on. Reuniclus won't win 1v1. So you can see that that thing is obviously a very big threat. Rotom cut is pretty nice. It's definitely worth it. Sub Nasty Plot. Now let's get into B+ rank. Court Change in B+. I agree with that. I think Court Change is not good. I think the only time it's ever slightly threatening is banded. And I think if you play Seismitoad or Toxapex or Quagsire or one of its 100 counters, a lot of the time you're just like, dang, I wish I didn't have this Pokemon. Now, the ability Court Change is pretty good, where you're able to, you know, get rid of the hazards and stuff like that, or switch the scene up. But for the most part, I feel like this mon is not that good. I would never use this mon in a tournament, that's for sure. I wouldn't touch this mon. The 5-foot pole in tournament, no chance. So yeah, this thing deserves to be in B+. It could even be B rank, honestly. I think it's as good as these mons. Hatterene. Only hat I use is Assault Vest, Nuzzle, Mystical Fire, Psychic Draining Kiss. I don't think this thing is that good. Unless it's Calm Mind or like Trick Room, and even then it's like whatever. Dynamax and Gigantamax getting banned really hurt this Pokemon's viability, but either way it's still pretty decent in B+. It's still strong enough. This thing's special attack is what, 136? Yeah, and its bulk is decent too, so it's fine for it to be where it is. But it's not that good anymore. Obstagoon. This thing has quickly became one of my favorites in the generation. I've been running this set with close combat over taunt from time to time, but the speed's quite good. Knockoff, facade, and then possible close combat coverage is really good in general. Hard to switch into. Facade lets you destroy stuff like Pex, Clefable, all that good stuff, and then close combat mercs Ferrothorn. It's a good Pokemon. Definitely could be A- rank depending on the day. Sylveon. Basically, all these high-level teams now run either Sylveon or Clefable. They're basically in a situation now where you have to run one of those because you need a bulky fairy. I don't even have any Sylveon teams because I just run Clef. But basically, the only Sylveon I've seen is Mystical Fire, Hyper Voice, Wish Protect. Yeah, this thing is literally the same thing as Clef, except it doesn't have Magic Guard and it's bulkier. It makes sense for it to be here. It's able to check stuff like Conkeldurr not really that well, and it's able to check. It's actually the one thing Sylveon can do that Clefable can't do is Sylveon can take +2 flash cannon from Hydreigon 100% of the time, every time. I think Clef can die to it sometimes if it's a roll, I don't know. Togekiss, another Pokemon that was hurt by the Dynamax ban, but nevertheless Togekiss is still quite the threat. Thunderwave, Roost, it even has access to Wish. Yeah, I've seen Thunderwave, Nasty Plot, Flamethrower, Air Slash. I think it's a threat. Actually, I don't think it got Roost yet. It has a Wish. But yeah, I've seen a lot of Thunderwave sets. Big threat. Tyranitar. Okay, so Tyranitar doesn't have Pursuit anymore, which is kind of sad. And in general, I haven't seen Tyranitar used that much. But Dynamax getting banned sucked because I really liked using Dynamax T-Tar. You can still run Dragon Dance, Weakness Policy. You can also run Stealth Rock Tyranitar, Bandit Tyranitar, all that stuff. This was obviously back when you could Dragon Dance and then Dynamax negate the choice item. But Bandit in general has always been good, regardless of having Pursuit or not. But yeah, T-Tar is just support. I mean, it's obviously not as good as it was. I think if I was ever going to use a T-Tar team in this current metagame, I'd run Bandit. But I don't think T-Tar is that favorable right now. Obviously, it can't beat stuff like Dragapult and Aegislash because there's no Pursuit. Stuff like Seismitoad and Conkeldurr, Dugtrio at an all-time high. In general, it's not a very favorable metagame for Tyranitar, which sucks. But Tyranitar is always going to be OU because it's still fucking beast Tyranitar, Tyranitar boss. B rank Bisharp. I thought Bisharp was very strong in the beginning of the generation, but I've not used it lately. Regardless, I think it would still be a top tier threat. Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, Throat Chop, Iron Head. Of course, Knockoff will be returned to it when Pokemon Home is introduced, which will be very good. But in general, these teams are pretty weak to it. I mean, a lot of guys are running Hippowdon, but Seismitoad is obviously not a good Bisharp counter. That thing will get murked once it's at 80%. Komodo is a very good check. But I mean, in general, Bisharp's pretty good. It's able to check Dragapult. It's able to check Aegislash, stuff like that. It's always going to be a threat. Bisharp is one of those mons that if people ever say it's bad, it's because they can't play it well. Bisharp is a mon that if you play it nice, you'll always get a ton of mileage. I know it sounds like something you can say about every Pokemon. Like, oh, of course, if you play every Pokemon good, you'll get mileage out of it. But Bisharp is one of those Pokemon that, like, if you're playing really good with it, you'll get a lot because it's like a very strong Pokemon. So yeah, Ditto and B rank too. Ditto and B rank is kind of whack to me. I feel like that thing could very easily be A- rank. I know with Dynamax out, people think it's not as good, but no, it still definitely is good. Ditto lets you go toe-to-toe with Fat very easily. It gives you a free pivot into Clefables, Toxapexes, opposing Corviknights, blah blah blah. Especially in a metagame that is so fixated on having bulky Pokemon like Corviknight or Clefable to Wish Pass, or bulky rockers like Seismitoad and Hippo. Having a Ditto that can switch into these fat mons and basically mimic what they're about to do is really nice. I've had a lot of games where I've gone into my Ditto on their Clefable, turned into them, and then passed a Wish, or turned into their Hippowdon, got my rocks up. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And in general, of course, Ditto is also capable of stopping you from getting swept, regardless of if the shit is Dynamaxed or not. Ditto can still stop you from being swept. So I think it should be A- rank. B rank's kind of whack, but whatever. Dracozolt, this Pokemon I don't think is good. Okay, while obviously the move Bolt Beak is crazy, Hustle's crazy. Hustle's crazy. That's the problem. 80% everything. So what do I look like using a mon that every move is basically Stone Edge? Yeah, that's basically my biggest gripe with it. I don't like that every move is Stone Edge with this mon. If it wasn't that case, then yeah, it'd be better, but I don't know. I'm also not big on using Pokemon that get trapped by Dugtrio. The set that I've seen most people run is either Bandit, or they run sub 3 attack with Fire Fang or Earthquake or whatever the case is, and then Dual Stab. This thing's okay, but I mean, in a metagame with Hippowdons and shit like that, it just seems pretty easy to deal with this thing. It's not that good to me. Gastrodon, I haven't used Gastro that much, have I? No, I don't even have a team with it. So I don't really know what to say. It doesn't seem good. I don't know why you'd run this thing over Seismitoad at all. It's B rank for a reason. It doesn't seem like this thing has any true place in the metagame. Like, I don't know why you'd run this mon. What's it supposed to beat? Maybe you Clear Smog Reuniclus and stuff with it, but I don't know. Grimmsnarl, this thing was my favorite Gigantamax for a while, but unfortunately it doesn't have the ability to do that anymore. Screens Grimmsnarl is very, very good. Let me find it. This is the screen set. This set's very, very good for enabling hyper offense. As you can see, I got Nasty Pot Rotom, set up Komodo, set up Dragapult, set up Corviknight. But yeah, I have that. I had a bulk up set as well. This one's pretty good. Thunder Wave, Sucker Punch, Spirit Break, bulk up. Little support, but can also go on the offensive. Grimmsnarl has a very good typing, and the fact that ghost types are at such an all-time high makes this thing a good pick in the metagame. I think B rank is a fine pick for it, but it can also be B+. It's hard to put it in B+ when all these Pokemon basically beat it, but priority Thunder Wave and priority Sucker Punch and all that will always be pretty good. Hawlucha, now that Hawlucha doesn't have the ability to Dynamax and use like Max Lightning or whatever bullshit, for the most part you see White Herb Close Combat to negate the speed boost. To negate the defense drops and then activate the Unburden boost. That's the set I was running the most. This one nowadays, this one's pretty good. I don't use Taunt that much. You can probably run something else like Throat Chop for Aegislash or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I don't know. Do I have any other Hawluchas? Electric Seed plus Pincurchin, and then you can run Psychic Seed plus Indeedee. Those are the only two other options you can run. But yeah, that thing is always going to be an annoying sweeper. Hawlucha has the added bonus of defeating Ditto as well, because Ditto cannot trace and burden. So something to think about. It'll always be good, and it definitely deserves B rank. This is another Pokemon that could have been B+ rank. It can be really good. Mamoswine, some of my buddies swear by Mamo, but I haven't used it enough. I think it's very good, despite not having used it, just because the main switch into this thing is Rotom Heat, which gets destroyed by Stone Edge. Rotom Wash is not being used as much in this current metagame. You can run Freeze Dry with Life Orb, I think. I think it even has Freeze Dry in Gen 8, don't quote me. But for the most part, I see people running Banded Icicle Crash, which is a good set. A lot of these teams don't really have anything to switch into Icicle Crash. You see me, I have a 160 HP Rotom, but it's Scarf, so if rocks go up, this team would get destroyed by Banded Mamoswine, honestly. Everything would get murked by Icicle Crash. Corviknight gets Twit killed with ease. So, yeah, Ice Shard also lets you, have good priority for stuff like Dragapult, Hydreigon. So I understand it. Reuniclus B rank. Reuniclus is weird. It can be very good at times, but a lot of the time it's also really hard to get a sweep started, just because we're in a metagame that's ruled by ghost types such as Dragapult, Aegislash, stuff like that. It could be kind of tough. But in general, the set I've run the most is Calm Mind, Life Orb with Psychic and Focus Blast. But sometimes I run Thunder over Focus Blast, just to hit Corviknight and also Aegislash. But Reuniclus does benefit from T-Tar not being able to trap anymore, so something to think about. Rotom Wash and B rank. Crazy to see Rotom Wash underneath Rotom Heat and Rotom Grass, I know, or Rotom Mow rather. But yeah, this thing gets destroyed by Seismitoad, so it's pretty bad now. In general, the other two are just better. It doesn't have good immunities like the other two have anymore, so this thing has been banished to B rank. Toxtricity, this thing was such a thug. Unfortunately, Dugtrio being in the game makes this really hard. If there wasn't any Dugtrio, this thing would still be notorious for obliterating Fat. Like, look at this team. Where's Fat bullshit? This team gets owned by Toxtricity, honestly. Like, all you have to do is burn the Ferrothorn, and you can Boom Burst sweep this really easily. Like, really easily, because Hippowdon gets 2 KO'd. But yeah, a team like this, but if it had a Dugtrio on it, then it would only get 1 kill max, is what I mean. But otherwise, this thing would get murked by Toxtricity. So this is just something to think about. B- rank, we got Agent Crawdon. The only Crawdon I've used is sub 3 attack Metronome to deal with Fat. It's still very good. I can understand why it's in B-, but it can be in B rank. I think it's better than stuff like Dracozolt and Gastrodon. Gyarados, this shit's definitely trash without Dynamax. I would never use this mon without Dynamax, no sir. Sigilyph, this mon's not bad. So Sigilyph has Magic Guard. People be using a lot of Calm Mind, Life Orb, Set, Ice Beam, Dazzling Gleam, all that stuff. Yeah, that mon's kind of a hit. I've seen it in quite a few tournaments. Teams kind of struggle to switch into that. Like, look at this team, for example. If I was Life Orb with Air Slash or Psychic, and then Dazzling Gleam and then Ice Beam, that's pretty good coverage. You can run Heat Wave for Corviknight, stuff like that. Basically, what I'm trying to say is Sigilyph has a good speed tier and special attack stat, which allows it to hit teams pretty hard. So it's not a bad choice at B- rank. Snorlax, the Berry Gigantamax set got banned, but you can still run Rest Talk. Rest Talk leftovers, which is Rest, Curse, not Rest Talk. Rest, Cursed, Body Slam, Darkest Lariat. My boy Brofish just used this in SPL and got a big win with it. But yeah, this thing is a huge special tank, capable of walling stuff like Specs Dragapult with ease. Yeah, Rest Snorlax is still a big threat. Rest Curse Snorlax. B- is a pretty bad ranking for it. You could honestly put this thing in B+, and it can put in quite a bit of work. Xatu, I'll never trust Xatu. I think that thing's kind of a noob pick. The point of Xatu is to stop your opponent from getting up hazards through mind games with magic bounce, but Xatu in general isn't even that bulky that it can beat these rockers. The good thing about Xatu in this generation is that it actually is able to beat these rockers. Seismitoad can't really break Xatu unless it goes for offensive liquidation or hydro, and Xatu can use Grass Knot in return. Xatu also has Heat Wave for Ferrothorn. Grass Knot also is able to hit Hippowdon, and you can run Psychic for stuff like Toxapex. So in general, you know, Xatu can actually deal with a lot of the rockers in this metagame, so it makes sense for it being there. C+, now we got some bullshit. Centiskorch, it's like okay. I've seen people run like this Rest Spadef version. I was running heavy duty boots, coil. This thing's pretty bad. It gets fully walled by Pex, which is really hard to justify using. So yeah, it's pretty bad. I wouldn't use Centiskorch. Cloyster's a giant threat. The only problem is that it gets walled by Toxapex. It's not as good as it was in the beginning of the generation, but it's still really good. I don't think it's C+ worthy. I think it's B- worthy. It's better than Gyarados, that's for sure. It can still do a lot of work. Rock Blast, Icicle Spear, Liquidation. Don't sleep on Cloyster. Corsola's whatever. I haven't used it too much. This is a set it mainly runs Spadef, Stealth Rock, Will-O-Wisp, Nightshade, Strength Sap. It's okay. I mean, it kind of just sits there. It loses to Clefable really easily too, which kind of sucks. It just sits there, which is not that good to have on a team. A Pokemon that just sits there and gets up rocks. It doesn't really go on sweeps or anything like that. Jellicent, this mon's very underrated. I don't really have any teams with it, I think. But the set that people are electing to use the most is Taunt, Recover, Will-O-Wisp, Hex. This thing is really annoying. It's able to shut down a lot of fat teams. Stuff like Toxapex, Ferrothorn, they get Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and then Hex does quite a bit, because obviously it's double base power when the opponent's Pokemon is statused. But yeah, that's able to stall break quite well. Jellicent's definitely a good Pokemon. Water Resist, Pure Water Immunity is really good as well. It's able to tank quite a few Pokemon. Oh wait, not Recover, sorry, Strength Sap over Recover. I mean, you can run either one, but Strength Sap is also really good. But yeah, Mew. The only Mews I've run are like the lead with Stealth Rock and Red Card, Swords Dance Mew, and then a Nasty Plot Salic Berry Mew. So I've run some weird ass Mews. Mew will always be good offensively. It has every move in the game. C+ rank is kind of depressing for it. I think a Nasty Plot set is still quite decent if you were to pull it off. Probably worthy of B- rank. Melodic, I think Melodic's bad. It was like some makeshift Darmanitan counter back in the day. I want to use this mon. It suffers from the same problems as Pokemon like Corsola. Just sits around, does nothing. Hope you burn Scald, but then you still don't really do anything. Mimikyu, this mon was garbage in Gen 7. It's garbage in Gen 8. That's all I gotta say. Pelipper. So Pelipper's here to assist Rain. I haven't seen Rain in quite a while. Probably because everyone who uses Rain is afraid to run into Seismitoad. As a standalone, it's worthy of being C+. It's not that good. C rank. Avalugg. I don't know how Avalugg's in C rank. I think that thing is very likely to be C+ or B-, not B-, but C+ for sure. It's a good remover. It was better obviously in a Darm metagame, but it's still able to, you know, tank some Pokemon. The problem is a lot of physical attackers don't give a fuck about Avalugg's high defense. Conkeldurr, smashed, destroys that thing. Excadrill +2 Iron Head, smashed. It does beat Dugtrio, but who cares about that? Dracovish will destroy it with +2. Physical Komodo will destroy it too. Dracozolt, Bullpeak will blow that shit up. Like, I guess it beats Mammoth, but you get the point. Physical attackers in general kind of defeat Avalugg, so it's not as good as it was. It's still able to get a spin-off, and it's still able to take a close combat or whatever. Barraskewda, this thing has completely fallen off the map because it's walled by Seismitoad, RIP. Same thing with Dreadnought. Flareon, this thing was the Fairy Counter, Life Orb, Clef, makeshift switch in. It's okay. I have one team with it right here. Wish Protect, Heavy Duty Boots. Definitely a silly pick. It's not that good. Unfortunately, it's really not that good. So that's all I can say. Haxorus, bad. Pyukumuku, it's like whatever. It's like a little defensive option. Pyuku, do I have any teams with it? No. It's the same thing as all it does. Rybombi, Web's Cheese, Web's Hyper Offense. You know the drill. Surfetched. Surfetched being in C rank really surprised me. I think this mon is quite underrated. Did I delete my Surfetched teams? What? Damn. Yeah. Surfetched being in C rank kind of disappoints me. This thing has 135 base attack, and nothing can really switch in. Life Orb Clef gets 2 KO by CC. It has a pretty decent speed stat as well. I believe it's 65. So, yeah, it hits 229. And then with max attack Adamant, it hits 405 attack. You can run Jolly though, but yeah, you only really need close combat, first impression, poison jab, and then what, knockoff, I guess. This is like basically all you need. But Scrappy's close combat is really nice, and I've run choice band for the most part. But yeah, this thing is really good. I think C rank is kind of whack for it. It should at least be C+. It's better than all this crap. Umbreon is garbage without Toxic. Vaporeon's okay. And then C- rank. Araquanid, pretty whack. I used it, didn't have much success. Arcanine, it's similar to Flareon in that you run heavy duty boots in a defensive set. It's not that good. Copperajah, without Gigantamax, it's hard to justify using this thing, but you can run it on Trick Room. Durant's actually not bad. I used that thing with Life Orb. It was way better with Dynamax, but it's still okay. C- is probably good for it. Poltergeist, this thing is whack. Loses to Mandibuzz, so I don't really like it. Quagsire, it's whatever. Inferior to Seismitoad. Shedinja, trash. So that's basically where I stand with all these Pokemon. Pokemon that they didn't rank yet that I've used. I think they ranked most of the shit I used. They didn't rank Charizard. Charizard's not that good, so I can understand why they didn't. They didn't rank Shiftry. That thing is bottom of the barrel. Offensive threat. They didn't rank Frostmoth. Too bad. But I mean, for the most part, I agree with these rankings. I think just some offensive threats I think are better than they considered, like Surfetched. But this is basically my opinion on the viability rankings. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know in the description what you guys thought, your take on the viabilities, stuff like that, your opinion on the OU tier, what you hope to see with the introduction of Pokemon Home next month, all that good stuff. Go check out the agency merch. Like I said, that's going to be available for the next 2 weeks. Go check that out. Don't sleep on that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.